It could be said that we've built civilizations on the pursuit of dopamine, the most important neurotransmitter in our brain, the feel-good chemical, the reward molecule. What's interesting about dopamine is that it might be more important for the expectation of reward than the reward itself. Dopamine is central to addiction. The more dopamine released, the more addictive the drug. When we engage in addictive behaviours, we get a burst of dopamine. Then our homeostasis system, the system that balances and regulates our body, tips the other way, producing withdrawal symptoms. The dopamine released is a reward for behaviour that we assume is good, fun, exciting, social, and so on. But usually, evolutionarily speaking, it was also rare, a treat, sugars and fats being the prime example. When we have too much of these things, our dopamine baseline drops to balance out. We down-regulate. We get that big reward, that big hit, then our system has to recover. We experience withdrawal, dullness, boredom, temptation, and so on. We also build up a tolerance. We require more and more of the thing to get the same result, the same fix. And we spend more of our time pursuing it, resulting in many cases in an unbalanced life, an unnourished life. Now, we instinctively know this when it comes to booze, caffeine and other substances. We get hangovers and crashes. But remember, the brain scans of the heroin addict and the World of Warcraft addict look identical. Dopamine spikes, withdrawal symptoms, tolerance apply to social media as much as to cigarettes, as much to sugar as it does to phones. Before we get back to limbic capitalism, one of the most fascinating findings in studies of dopamine is that it's not just released as a reward, but also, and maybe even more importantly, in the expectation of a reward. Memory is central to the release of dopamine. We remember a certain cue, a certain pattern, predict or remember a certain outcome, and get excited. We see a fast food restaurant or a pub. I have a beer and think cigarette. Our mouth salivates at cooking food. Gamblers get as excited when the slot machine starts spinning than from the win itself. What we get in all of these things are cues. We get a little cue when our phone buzzes. Dopamine is released in expectation of what it is, more than the what it is itself. Cues, the expectation of reward, or hooks, are central to postmodern addiction.